Brionk, a Godzilla movie marathon where we're stomping through Godzilla's filmography. I'm Derek, and I've seen all the Godzilla movies.
And I'm Doug, and I've seen 8 Godzilla movies.
And we're in the new millennium with the second film of the millennium era. The first one that's actually in 2000. That is not Godzilla 2000. In fact,
boy.
in the 25th Godzilla film overall with Godzilla versus Megaguirus, also known as Gojiratai Megagirasu, Ji Sometsu Sakusen, which translates to and is often seen listed as Godzilla versus Megaguirus, the G annihilation strategy.
Oh.
Also seen in some places as Godzilla versus Megaguirus, the G extermination strategy. I think you could just translate it either way. There are, and that is, you will see that title, like it listed as that title in some places, depending on like where you're looking, but the official international title, the one on all the DVDs and stuff like that, it's just going to say Godzilla versus Megaguirus. It was released in Japan on December 16th, 2000, directed by Masaaki Tezuka, who is new to this franchise, with a musical score by Michiro Oshima. Everyone else working on this movie is the same as Godzilla 2000, written by Hiroshi Kashiwabara and Wataru Mimura, produced by Shogo Tomiyama, and head of special effects Kenji Suzuki. So, Doug, we're back in the millennium era.
Yeah.
How you feeling about being back in the year 2000 with this movie?
I feel fine about it. I also realized this must have been what I saw as far as a suit repeat. Remember, I don't know if it was last episode or before. Yep. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be the repeat suit. It was clearly this. Mm-hmm. So the moment I hit play and saw Godzilla, I was like, oh, that's what I meant. So if people were wondering what the hell I was talking about, clearly it was this.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be back in this era because I'm very curious about it. Knowing that it's an anthology era is particularly intriguing. And it's nice to have gotten a first taste of that. I think overall general feeling coming out of this movie, it's fun and kind of wild, but I think it's probably somewhere in the middle of what we've seen so far. Yeah, is probably how I feel about it.
I think so too. Yeah, this movie, I think it's going to be interesting because it's like, on one hand, I feel like I find it really interesting in a lot of ways, but I also don't have like a ton to say about it, I think. Well, I'm going to say that it's going to be a 3-hour episode, probably, as it usually is. But I mean, it is one that I think is like, I watched it once and was like, okay. And then I never watched it again until I had to watch it for this podcast. And I was like, okay, I think there's some really, really cool things in this movie. And there's nothing about it that I particularly dislike, really. It's just, it makes some choices that I don't know that I love. And I think it maybe doesn't execute some of its really great ideas as well as I think that maybe could have. But it does I think it'll yield an interesting conversation at the very least.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One thing, I will backtrack a little bit. So we'll have to put ourselves back in our 4th episode, because that's when we did Godzilla 2000. And, we talked about Millennium Era as like an anthology era. I don't know if it was a misunderstanding on my part or if there's just contradictory information. I think it's the latter. Because I think when I was doing the research for that episode, I think the way I understood it and presented it to you was that like they went into the Millennium Era with the intention that it would be an anthology. I was reading David Kalat's book, Critical History and Filmography of Toho's Godzilla series, which I've referenced many times in this show. When he was talking about this movie, the way he described this, and I trust him because his historical stuff is really good, is that it wasn't, the anthology idea didn't really come up until this movie, really. When they made Godzilla 2000, they weren't setting out to do an anthology. It was just like, we do Godzilla 2000, see how it's going to do. And it doesn't really do gangbusters. It does okay, but it's not like, doesn't blow things out of the water. So then that's when they come up, like, instead of doing a sequel to Godzilla 2000, which would have been the expectation, that's when they're sort of like, you know what if we pivot and we just start doing a different movie in a different universe with a different director every time and just see how that goes. And that's when they come up with this idea. So this movie with Megaguirus is sort of the first time that they're really truly experimenting with, like, what if we pull in a new director who hasn't solo directed a movie before, bring him in, see what his ideas for Godzilla are, and just see how it plays out. And then that's how you sort of get the invention of this anthology era, essentially.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk about Masaaki Tezuka, because he kind of is the reason that this movie is the way that it is. Previous to this movie, he had worked in film for a while. He actually initially became interested in filmmaking after seeing King Kong versus Godzilla as a kid. So Godzilla's right in his blood. He's worked in a bunch of movies through the 80s and 90s, but like the highest he would sort of go in ranking would be assistant director. So he was like assistant director in Toho movies like Bye Bye Jupiter, which you referenced before, the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy in the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah, and also a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movie from the 90s that we haven't covered yet. So like he's in the sort of Kaiju, Toho, my God, Taiju, Toho. Kaiju, Toho, Godzilla universe. So he's already in there. So it sort of makes sense that like if you're trying to get a potentially up and coming director, you get someone who's already been very heavily involved with that world. So that's how it gets them the job. Specifically, the producer Tomiyama asked Tezuka, like, what kind of Godzilla movie do you want to do?
Oh.
And so Tezuka comes back with just sort of the broad strokes ideas of how we'd want to approach a Godzilla movie. But his main points were that it involves a heroine, a super weapon, and he wanted it to be something akin to Aliens.
Okay.
The movie.
I see all of that.
I
get all of that. Also,
yeah.
interesting that he worked on the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. I feel like I see that a little bit as well. Obviously in a very different way.
Sure. I mean, Godzilla fights flying creatures, so it makes sense. Yeah, and I think like that's so there's like an intention of injection of horror and like some sort of 70s style kaiju fighting. I think you kind of see that in like the anthropomorphism in some of the fights that Megaguirus and Godzilla have in this movie, like that stuff that he specifically wanted to inject into it. And so, and then they get the screenwriters of Godzilla 2000 to write a script sort of based around those ideas and vibes, I guess, that Tezuka is throwing out. Yeah.
That's a fascinating approach.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's really that uncommon with like franchise stuff like this,
Sure.
especially at this point when I'm sure there is a million ideas in Toho about a Godzilla movie. It's just a matter of like picking and choosing what you want to do. And then the job of a screenwriter is figure out how to make it into like a coherent story from there.
I mean, this also was like the next year, right? So this is within a year of the last one. So I think that's part of why I'm fascinated by that approach.
Sure.
Although maybe that like you're saying with franchises and all that sort of stuff, maybe that is exactly what I should have expected,
I think so. And I think that you're going to see that with pretty much every Godzilla movie. I think honestly, like even in like previous eras, like once the gears start turning, like it's a well-oiled machine enough that like they can kind of put these up relatively quickly. Like, obviously there's certain points where there need to be gaps, but like when they're not trying to like reinvent the wheel, right? When they're not like, this movie isn't doing anything super new with special effects that they haven't done before, even if maybe they might try some different tweaks and ideas, but like this isn't sort of a reinvention of anything really, so it kind of makes sense that they can just sort of play with what they already have. I think.
This is also the industry that, basically puts out a Sentai and Kamen Rider episode every single week. Like basically every week of the year with almost no weeks off.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't understand how they do it. Just some like kind of spare things. I mean, I don't know that this movie doesn't have like a wildly interesting backstory from my understanding. It really is just like the dudes had some ideas and they kind of put it to paper. One of the screenwriters, Wataru Mimura, had said that like they were intentionally avoiding going too dark or violent because of how this movie would be releasing close to New Year's, and they're sort of like felt like we want it to be sort of like, I don't know, there's usually you don't have like super dark horror movies coming out around like Christmas and New Year's. Obviously you kind of have to balance that with like the horror stuff that Tezuka wanted to do, which is I think how you get sort of that interesting like whiplash of like intensely brutal scenes mixed with like funny silly monster fights. So they're kind of going into that with an interesting push-pull. It seems to me that there's kind of an interesting push-pull between writer-director, not in like a confrontational conflict type of way necessarily, but like just in the way that like the approaches are a little bit different. Like there's an interview that I was reading with Henshin Online where like it is those two together, one of the writers and the director, Mimura and Tezuka, like literally in the room together, kind of going back and forth on like the stuff that they didn't like that the other one did. Like Tezuka said that he specifically like didn't like the scene that Mamura wrote of the heroine riding on Godzilla's back.
Wow.
And Tezuka's like, I thought it seemed like it's gonna look, there's no way to make that look cool, it's gonna look dumb. And he was like, but I had to do it because we couldn't not do it, and it was in the script, and you know, and then I think we made it look as good as we could. So like I think, you know, I think maybe as we talk about the movie, there might be moments where you can sort of see that, where it's like different ideas maybe clashing a little bit, not in a way where they're like fighting.
Sure.
But I think there is a tonal whiplash in this movie that's a little weird sometimes, I guess I'll say.
Compromises are being made from beginning to end, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. Other things about sort of the sort of background of it, like they did want to have, or I think Tezuka was interested in like the sort of scientific background of the story. So like really wanted it to be believable in the universe of this movie, of like being able to create something as ridiculous as a black hole gun, which I think is how you sort of get all the backstory and everything to set that up. Like obviously it's going to be ridiculous stuff no matter what, but I think that he was trying to be like, it's not going to be a grounded movie per se, but we can try to take strides to make these ridiculous ideas feel a little more grounded than maybe some like sillier Showa era stuff was.
Sure.
Which I, you know, like I said, I think that results in a lot of the like exposition and like historical stuff that this movie has that I think is actually really interesting. And one other thing I had on like the writing of it, you can open up the show notes, Doug, that I sent you over the chat. And you scroll down to the first image you'll see. Oh, so apparently there was early. I don't know how this would fit in, but because you love Bones Godzilla, there was an idea. I have no idea how this would fit into the story at all. It had to be like early ideas before they'd even written the script, but like there was concept art for astronauts finding Godzilla bones on the moon.
I'm obsessed with this first black and white like ink drawing. You see the tiny little astronauts like walking up and touching one of the ribs of Godzilla. Ooh, I love that.
So we almost got Bones Godzilla on the moon.
Bones Godzilla was so close to being canon and on the moon.
And instead we got dragonflies.
Yeah,
which is still cool.
I'm not mad about that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mad we didn't get Bones Godzilla, but
yeah, but you know,
fascinating.
Yeah, honestly, like it is fascinating, and I feel like that had to be such an early kind of idea, because where the fuck would that fit in at all? Like it had to be before they'd even written anything.
It very much feels like it would have been at a stage of development where there was no intention to connect this movie to any other sort of Godzilla history, or so far removed from it that it would have felt very different than the start of this one.
Yeah. It's in a book called Shinji Nishikawa, Drawing Book of Godzilla.
Damn.
Who I think he's one of the designers, I believe. Yeah, I think designers of like some of the creatures and things like that. I mean, obviously, so it was just a book of his concept art, and I think that's where people first heard about like, oh, there's fucking bones on the moon. Where the hell did that come from? But
I love this.
I don't know.
Image of Bones Godzilla eating the earth.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I want to get this book. It looks fucking rad as hell, honestly.
Hell yeah.
I mean, like, so it's like story wise, I don't know. That's like all I got. Like, there's not really there wasn't really that much inspired. Like it just kind of came together, and that's what it is, and that's fine. So
that doesn't surprise me. I mean, based on the movie we got, based on how fast it came out, based on you know, how deep into the history of Godzilla movies, like it doesn't surprise me that there is and probably several Godzilla movies that just come to be, you know, like that there's probably not like a deep revolutionary story behind every single one.
Yeah, I think that this movie is probably the first one on this podcast that we're covering that like doesn't have either baggage or like some really like in-depth complex backstory behind it. Like this is like the first one that we're covering that's just a normal movie. Like it's not the start of a new era. It's not like you know, a long-awaited sequel or rushed sequel. It's not like it's not the first time Godzilla like changes tones, or the first time he crosses over with another kaiju from Toho. Like it's just another Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
And like, we're going to have more of those than not. It's just the way that this podcast has been ordered.
Yeah.
Like we've just had a bunch of these momentous ones and then like a movie where Godzilla fights a dragonfly.
Congratulations, Megaguirus. You're the first just another movie.
Two elements of this movie I want to talk about just a teeny bit before we get into like the monsters themselves, the stars of the picture. The special effects, we always talk about special effects. There's not as much to say on this one as like other movies, for example, just because the special effects head, Kenji Suzuki, already worked on Godzilla 2000, so we already talked about him, and they're not making huge strides. But I think one thing that is worth pointing out is that, at least according to writer Mamura, the budget was comparatively smaller than Godzilla 2000 and the Heisei films of the 80s and 90s, even though technically like story-wise is on the same scale. You know, and obviously there's like more digital stuff that they can do at this point, so it's not as comparable, I guess, to like Heisei movies, but considering it comes right after Godzilla 2000 and they like cut the budget. I think that like, I don't know, for me, I don't know that I could like tell significantly. I think they still do some pretty cool things in this movie, and the things that I didn't like about Godzilla 2000 in terms of some of the digital effects are still present here.
Sure.
So it doesn't feel like a significant step down. I have seen some writing about the miniature work maybe being not as complex or detailed as Godzilla 2000.
But I do feel like this movie does a cool miniature thing, in that I haven't seen at least yet. Maybe it happened in an earlier movie, but I haven't seen it yet. But just the underwater miniatures I thought were cool. Even if it's not literally underwater, just the way that they do that is very cool. The way that they look, the way that they style them to look underwater and to look as if they have been underwater for a couple days or whatever. I just thought that was really neat. I do think there are things in this movie that I haven't seen before, which is part of why it was fun, you know?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a movie full of a bunch of little bugs, and the big flying bug that we'll talk about is like actually a person in a suit this time, not just like a marionette or whatever. And like already that is sort of a different feeling. So yeah. The other thing I want to talk about, because this is really cool, the composer of this movie, Michiru Oshima. So here's the thing. Fucking rad as hell lady.
This is our first woman composer, right?
The first and so far to date only woman who has ever composed a Godzilla film score.
Really? That's so
as far
upsetting.
as I know.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't really be surprised, but I kind of am.
Yeah, I mean, not many women have worked on Godzilla in like a creative capacity, like in general. I mean, plenty of women I'm sure have worked in the crew of Godzilla movies, and obviously in the cast.
But like in leadership,
terms of like leadership, creative positions, there have been very few, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice when you run into one that is like not only heavily involved, like a composer of a Godzilla movie. Big deal. The scores of Godzilla movies are very, very important. And Oshima specifically is like really, really well known and prolific, like one of the like top tier Japanese composers in general. So like very cool that she's doing this movie. She's won a bunch of awards, including like Japanese Academy Awards, composed for tons of movies, TV shows, video games, like a very eclectic resume. Honestly, if you look through her stuff, it's like just gigantic, but some of the things that would be recognizable to like we Americans would be like Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Oh, wow.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Whoa! Oh, you're speaking my language.
The 2003 Sailor Moon, and recently an episode of Star Wars Visions.
Wow.
So like runs the gamut of some of the most popular anime and video games ever made.
Wow.
And then a bunch of like Japanese movies that like we maybe haven't heard of, but in Japan were huge. So yeah. And you know, I think she's like known for mixing like electronic synthesizers with traditional instruments, which I think you can see in this movie, because she's like doing a lot of Ifukube score stuff worked into her very like modern sounding score. And I think it stands out. The score to this movie is really good. Like she did very good at her job.
Yeah. No doubt.
And the thing that I thought was interesting, like she specifically points to like Hitchcock scores as an inspiration for this movie. Like she was thinking of the birds for the bugs of this movie, and thinking of like birds making crying noises, ergo like string sounds like the strings of Hitchcock's Psycho. So sort of two Hitchcock movies contributing to the idea of how this movie would sound.
Smart. Unsurprisingly, given the caliber, but smart.
Yeah. I will say too, this is not the last time we will hear her score a Godzilla movie either. So we're gonna run into her a couple more
that's
times.
good. She's the only woman, but this isn't the only movie.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think that out of the ones that she does, one of the Godzilla movies she scores is like one of my favorite Godzilla movies. So
nice.
I'm very happy about that. Yeah.
Cool.
We will get to that eventually, but we got a couple of monsters in this movie. Obviously, for Godzilla, like you said, they're using the same suit. They did technically build new suits, but it's out of the same mold, and they only built new ones because they wanted one that would be a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to move in. Same actor, Tsutomu Kitagawa, showing up again, playing the same Godzilla, but he has talked about that it was like was able to have more expressive movement in this movie because it was just a breezier, lighter suit to move in.
It's got to be lighter. He leaps, skyscraper height into the air.
He does. That was practical. He really did that. He actually did that. Yeah,
did it all on his own.
Can you guess the weight of this suit, Doug?
Oh, I don't remember what the weight of the last one was, like what it was in the last movie, but they tend to be like in the 150, 170 range. Mm-hmm. So if this is lighter, I'd say like 130, 140.
Ooh, 110 pounds.
Oh,
yeah, he had a lightweight one. I mean, which is wild because when you look at it, those spines are fucking big. There's a lot happening. I think it really is the technology and being able to find lighter weight materials. Like
sure.
I think if you consider like how cosplayers are able to pull it off now in ways that they probably couldn't years ago, it's because there's been inventions of how to do foam in a way that looks weighty but is not, and I think that that's what we're seeing in this era of Godzilla movies now.
Yeah, these two. Well, I guess the last movie maybe more so, given that it was like in the maw of another monster, but like in this one, he doesn't have to do like too much like weird shit with it. Like there's not really a lot of fire, water, slime, like too much compared to some of the other movies we've seen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's probably nice.
Yeah, these movies are not as slimy and wet as the Heisei movies for one. So it's like they have the suit that can get wet and the suit that doesn't get wet.
Yep.
They don't really need to do much more. I don't think he gets set on fire in this one, which is nice. So,
not electrocuted, I'm sure.
Yeah. The name of the suit, same design, but if you want to put a different name to it, it's colloquially known as the Gira Goji suit for Megaguirus, obviously, which is kind of fun. Yeah. But Megaguirus.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess first off, what are your feelings on Megaguirus? I guess the design, but also just as a creature in general, just the vibes of Megaguirus.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I know off mic at one point, maybe like a week or two ago, you had mentioned like, oh, you're finally going to see what Megaguirus looks like. And I was like, well, he's on the cover of the DVD, like the DVD and Blu-ray that I got. So I've kind of seen what it looks like, or her, I think technically, right?
Yeah, it's okay, which is funny. I'd legit forgotten that, so I probably referred to Megaguirus as a he before in other episodes. Legit forgot that. Not that like gender for kaiju matters like at all.
Not really.
But it is kind of funny that like
gender's a human construct.
It's a human construct. But for the ones that like are referred to with like she her pronouns, totally accidental that I put like the big Godzilla lady kaiju in a row for our podcast. Like we did Mothra, Biollante, and Megaguirus in a row, and I did not intend for that to be the case. So we've just had like yeah.
I didn't connect that either.
It's just been like girl power era over here. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I was surprised, even though I saw the face of Megaguirus on the cover. I didn't realize that she was a flying monster, that she was a dragonfly. I like that she is a dragonfly that is like half dragon, half fly.
It's cool. It's great.
Like once she is fully Megaguirus and not one of the smaller dragonfly, she doesn't have dragonfly wings anymore. She just straight up has like dragon wings with like claws and weird whatever the fingers on bat wings are called. Like she's pretty rad looking. And I think the idea of the monster is pretty cool.
Sure.
I like that there's I don't know if this comes from Alien as an inspiration or Mothra as an inspiration or totally separate or just like dragonflies as an inspiration. But I like that there's like 3 stages of this monster, and not every one of them turns into Megaguirus. It's like the queen of these dragonfly monsters. I like that there's a swarm. I thought the swarm stuff was really cool. And I don't know. I think she's pretty cool. I don't know that she's going to end up being one of my favorites just based on how she moves in this one and some of the limitations of what she can do based on being a flying monster. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for a flying monster to like, I don't know, really, really hit in the movement department. I wonder if it ever really does until we get to CGI, but that's really the only thing that's a downside for her, I think.
Yeah.
In my book.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, it was definitely a fun swing to do a fully flying monster like this that isn't like a Mothra related monster, because it's got to be so challenging to figure out how to have Godzilla fight a flying monster in a way that like makes sense. Like, how do you choreograph that? And I think that, they find ways to do interesting stuff with this. I think helped by CGI. I think it's also helped that Megaguirus does have an actual suit actor, unlike Mothra, who's, usually traditionally just like a marionette or whatever. That was like, I think, an intentional idea to differentiate her from other flying kaiju, was to be like, we're going to have kind of a human, or a not human exactly, but a more humanoid shape in the middle of this dragonfly to be able to move and have expressive movements and more facial expressions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That actor, by the way, Minoru Watanabe is the name of this actor who plays Megaguirus.
Okay.
Cool dude. So he has been the suit actor in various Super Sentai and Kamen Rider shows since 1982.
Oh.
Notably, a few things you're going to recognize all these. He was the suit actor for Bookback and Zoo Ranger, who becomes Squat in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay.
But
nice.
Perhaps a little more famously in Die Ranger, he was Kiba Ranger, who gets adapted.
Holy shit.
Gets adapted into the White Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So he's basically Tommy Oliver's suit actor.
Yeah, the one suit from that show that the mainstream population knows.
Yeah. So, that's Megaguirus. Also, this is just for you, Doug. He was a character named Realm/Kaga in 2 episodes of Kamen Rider Wizard.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I love Kamen Rider Wizard.
Yeah, that's why it's for you. This is his only Godzilla role. I think this maybe is his only film role. He pretty much just works in like TV toku stuff from my understanding, but
gotcha.
Yeah, pretty cool. Everything's about Megaguirus. It's kind of fun. Technically, so like Megaguirus, brand new monster for this, but technically like the first stage of the Megaguirus, the bug version, is they call it a Meganulon, and that is technically a pre-existing creature in the Kaiju universe, in that it appeared, I think, only once. It appeared in the Solo Rodan movie, which coincidentally we're going to watch next month. Actually, we'll get to that later. And it's, just as like a prehistoric monster that shows up, not any fanfare or anything. I don't know. I haven't seen Rodan. We're going to find out next month. But so it existed there. So I don't think that it was like, a huge swing or whatever. I think it was more like they're coming up with a flying dragonfly monster. Why not connect it to a monster that already exists if they're going to have multiple stages? So they take that Meganulon, but then, invent that middle stage, the Meganula stage that's more of a dragonfly, and then Megaguirus. So it's still ultimately like a brand new monster invented for this. It's just like has a loose connection to a previous monster, which is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, well, and something that fits perfectly into this franchise as it sort of like operates with, with references or like how it treats its history and stuff like that. It makes sense.
Yeah, and they're all like, I think that they are specifically, they even pointed out in the movie that there is a real genus of like like extinct like prehistoric insects. There's not the same name. It's like I don't know how to say this. Meganisoteran. I don't know, fucking some science name. It was a real thing that existed that they're like basing it on, which is kind of
crushed
fun.
It.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, look at the notes again. I have 2 more pictures. One of them, it does not matter much, but I want to show you the other one. That's really fun. So one of the pictures I had was just Watanabe in the Megaguirus suit, just sort of seeing what it looks like when he's literally laying there in the suit, which is just kind of fun to see that he has to just lay there and move around. But the other one that I think is more important to see that's hilarious, they made the separate suit just for promotional appearances. But they had to for promotional appearances, they have to find a way to have Megaguirus walk around, right? Like they can't just have a flying creature on stage. So they add legs to Megaguirus.
This is so weird because like, why wouldn't you just use sort of like the old trick of like black leggings and shoes and just have like Megaguirus's tail be, a separate thing. Like it's so funny.
It's so silly.
So funny.
The fan nickname is Legaguirus.
That is perfect. That's perfection. That's incredible. Legaguirus.
It's so silly. It's so silly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. God, this is like the quickest we've ever gotten through production stuff because this is literally all I have. We can just talk about whatever we want from here, honestly. There really just isn't. I've gotten so used to these episodes being like 2.5 hours long or whatever, and just digging deep. And it's just sort of like, oh, they made a movie and it was cool. And there you go.
Well, I honestly think the movie itself is like kind of a breezy one. Like it moves
is.
really, really fast. It's not longer or shorter than the last movie or like the immediately preceding movie. It's about the same length, but like it just feels like it moves, So I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, where do you want to start? I mean, we can talk about character stuff, or if there's some specific plot thing you want to start with, we can do that too.
I think we have to start with how this, like the prologue to this movie, its own internal history that it establishes or technically reestablishes.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite thing about this movie because I think this is the thing that most embraces the anthology aspect of it, where it's like, no, we are building an entire like Godzilla AU for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and it's an interesting domino effect, right? Because it's sort of like, it starts with like, there's actually a lot of things to talk about. First thing, I just think it's fucking cool that they like sort of recreate and or splice in like the current Godzilla design into like original scenes from the original Godzilla. Yeah. It's so fun.
I know that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see like this Godzilla, this very distinct looking Godzilla eating the train, it's just like, wow. It's like kind of off-putting, but then it's like really cool. Like it's also fun.
Yeah. I was in awe. It really surprised me.
It's well done too. Like whatever. I know that in some cases they just composite him into the original footage and like it looks great. Like I think it's really well done. But like they do that and then it's sort of like this idea of like the oxygen destroyer never existed. The way the original Godzilla ended he just like left, I guess, is how that movie ended in its continuity.
Which honestly isn't that weird. That's already happened, I think, a couple times in movies that we've watched. So
Yeah. Honestly, the first Godzilla is kind of an anomaly that they're able to kill him. That never happens.
Yeah. It also means there just is this is one Godzilla. There's no separate Godzilla. It's not a second Godzilla. This just is Godzilla, which I guess the immediately preceding movie, you kind of assumed that in 2000 it was a separate Godzilla because they don't say it's not, right?
Yeah.
But they also don't really say that it's the same one either. So
yeah.
Right. But this one definitively, like they just did not kill Godzilla. It's just been alive and either dormant or attacking for 30 years or something.
Yeah. It was 30 years, 1954 to 2000. That's more than 30 years,
it is,
isn't it?
Yeah,
I was thinking more than 30 years.
It's more than 30 years, but I was thinking of I know exactly where I got 30 years from because one of the longest increment between attacks was from 66 to 96.
Got it. And that's 30
But yes, there's more time after that and more time before that.
Yeah, so basically it's like this interesting sort of domino effect that they build that I think is really smart. Because basically they have, so if Godzilla was never killed, he leaves. He comes back again when Japan builds a nuclear power reactor in 1966. So then everyone's like, okay, so ergo Godzilla is attracted to nuclear power. So now we're going to research alternative energy. So that sets Japan up on this completely alternate timeline where they are like going hard on researching
plasma
and investing
energy.
In different types of energy, and leads them to plasma energy, which is like completely out of context for us.
Harnessing the power of the sun.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hands.
Exactly.
But then he attacks this like plasma energy reactor in 1996, which is sort of like, okay, so what the fuck? So he's just going to come after any sort of research, or any sort of like power source at all, which then means that this plasma research that they're doing is going to instead be focused on researching using plasma technology for a weapon to defeat Godzilla if Godzilla is going to keep coming. Ergo, that justifies how they're able to come up with a black hole weapon out of their plasma energy research, which then jumpstarts the entire plot of this movie, is the existence of this black hole weapon.
Yeah. Honestly, the sort of alternate history Japan that this movie exists in, I think really is the explanation. I hadn't figured out what it was that made me feel this way, but I think you just made me realize. I think the alternate history of this Japan is what makes this movie feel like so much of the Toku that I knew prior to Godzilla. Like there was something about this movie that felt very much more similar or more akin to any given Sentai or Ultraman or Kamen Rider series, just the technology and the science and the government organizations that exist with that technology all just felt very Toku as I used to know it.
Yeah. One thing that it's probably an unfair expectation to have had, but I know like watching this initially, like, and seeing this alternate timeline sort of explain, because they explain it all really well, I think, like the sort of whole history that you get caught up on. But then once you get to like present day Japan, like other than the existence of this black hole weapon and that like their, I guess, capital is Osaka instead of Tokyo now, I guess, like there really isn't that much difference though that you see in society from there. And like, I guess this movie was never intending to like explore how different Japanese society would be necessarily. But I do kind of wish there had been something a little bit more that we'd seen in just how different technology was for everyone, or how different life sort of operated for everyone. I don't feel like we see enough of that in this movie.
I guess. I think I was fine with it. Maybe because I was getting that vibe. And I feel like when you do see the lab where the black hole gun is being made, it all feels very like comic book sciencey as opposed to like real world sciencey. So I think that's kind of where it shone through for me. And they don't, where I do think they could have gone harder on it, they reference this, but they don't really explore this, is at a point in the movie where they are nervous that they'll never be able to defeat Godzilla. Somebody references like children just growing up forever being afraid because this monster could just attack whenever. That's the type of thing they could have probably explored a little bit more. But, any Godzilla movie could,
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, this movie is sort of like focused a little more, I feel like, than other ones that we've seen on people who have lived with Godzilla all their lives and like are sort of tired of him and want him to be dead specifically, whether that's out of revenge or out of exhaustion. And this movie goes way harder on that than anything else that we've seen, for sure. Like that is sort of main character motivations for like multiple people, really, ultimately, more than anything else.
I mean, our protagonist, as I would argue she is, like that is her primary motivation,
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, okay. Our protagonist. I'll talk a little bit about her. So Masato Tanaka plays Kariko, our protagonist of this movie. She's yet another lady who won an award at Toho's Cinderella contest. She did in 1996. Yep.
She's my favorite Cinderella of the three. Sorry, other two.
I mean, she's
written extremely differently.
Yeah, she's given a bigger role. I mean, no, I love Miki though, I will say. But
yeah, me too.
But I mean, she's an action hero in this movie. Yeah. This is only her second film role. She'd really been doing a lot of TV since she won in 96 until now. So this is like her first, and this is probably her first like major role out of all of that. And I think she's a really interesting protagonist because it is cool, I think, just in general to see like a woman character driven by revenge, which is often like a very male trait. So it's kind of cool. Like that is her core character trait. And I do think my favorite things that this movie does with her are usually when she's clearly like making bad decisions because of how focused and narrow-minded on revenge that she is.
Yeah.
I think that is really fun. It's always fun when you see a character that you still like and understand, like making bad calls and just being like, don't do that, but also I understand why you did that.
And I doubt anybody listening to our show needs this reminder, but characters making bad decisions doesn't make a bad movie. They're people. They're supposed to be realistic and believable. So yeah, she's going to make bad decisions, and you're right. I love her for it, not in spite of it. I don't dislike her because of it. I like her for her bad decisions and her sort of blind, she's blinded by revenge. And I think this is one of those moments where, if this guy was so inspired by Alien, of course he would want like a badass action female hero,
Yeah.
And honestly, like she's kind of immediately one of my favorite protagonists of the series that I've seen so far, not even just because she's like a female action hero, but like she's an action hero. Like she is an action hero. I haven't really seen like a movie that centers like an action hero in the way that she is, where it's like action hero. There's like cool people doing cool action stuff.
Yeah.
Like the spy stuff in the Heisei era. But something about her feels so action movie. I don't know. Something about her. I don't know. She's cool.
Yeah,
She's cool. I like her a lot.
I like her a lot too. I think she's really, I think the actor is very charismatic, and that also helps a lot too. So like even when you don't agree with what she's doing, like I said, you still like her.
I think it's because she's always an action hero. That I think is what sets her apart. Like there are people who do cool action stuff, and like being a jet fighter is an action thing, but like she's just you cannot separate it from her. You know what I mean? Like it really is her core characteristic.
That is pretty much. I mean, it's
core motivation, revenge. Core characteristic, action.
Yeah, she doesn't really have like a lot of depth, but it's in a way that I think kind of works in her favor for this movie, because this isn't like. Honestly, kind of like Godzilla 2000. This isn't like a very deep movie, really. This is not a very heavy theme. This is not a theme heavy movie or anything.
Yeah,
and it's fine. It's very clearly like kind of meant to be fun. I think that this is less a problem with the character that I have and more just sort of where the story ends up going. I do take issue with like I was really loving like everything with her up to a certain point where it's like, I feel like they're clearly building to something, because she's constantly being shitty to people around her and like being like completely reckless for this root cause of hating Godzilla because of revenge, because Godzilla killed someone that was close to her, killed her, whoever she was with the military. And I guess it was her superior or whatever in the military, someone that she was close with, killed right in front of her. And she definitely harbors guilt because it was partially her fault that they were in that space where Godzilla could kill him in the first place. So all of that perfect character backstory makes a ton of sense. Nothing wildly unique or original. We all get what it is.
Yeah.
But it does feel like she ends up not really, I feel like it's like leading to her learning some kind of lesson or like getting over her thirst for revenge, and it doesn't really happen in the movie. She's just sort of like does action movie stuff, and then they get rid of Godzilla with the black hole gun, and it's like, oh, I guess she was right the whole time to be reckless. She was supposed to be reckless, and they should have fired that black hole gun before it was ready. Like it was everybody was doing everything right, and I'm like, I don't know if that was the lesson that I was supposed to be taking away from it, but that's kind of how it ends, is that everybody was right to be reckless and mean to everyone, I guess.
I think she's a surface level action hero. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're supposed to learn a lesson from her. I think you're supposed to be like, yeah, get your revenge, girl. Like, go get it, Honestly, it's funny. Like, I do feel like a better story, one that was trying to, have a little bit of depth and wasn't surface level action. I think would have either, had her, face some sort of consequence. Maybe she ends up, mirroring the situation and then realizes I've been reckless for the past 3 years and that was the wrong approach. Or they weren't going to do this because, this would be way too dark. Or she just has dedicated herself to this path of destruction, and the only way to save the world is for her to destroy herself and Godzilla at the same time. Like, those are the two ways that I think the story could have been a little bit more compelling, but she's Rambo. Like she's just like on a warpath to get to Godzilla, and she's gonna get there. She's
Rambo specifically from the Rambo sequels, not the first Rambo.
I think yes. Good clarification.
Good clarification.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
She's what people took from the Rambo movies and forgot all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're softer on that. That kind of disappointed me. I think because I'm like,
I get that,
but I'm glad that you had a good time with it because this movie is not. I'm asking a little too much of this movie. I think for wanting more complicated.
Not necessarily.
Depth,
I don't think necessarily. I mean, only in the sense that I don't think this movie was necessarily trying to do that. But I think with a franchise as big as Godzilla, you have some movies that are clearly very interested in that, and some that aren't. So when you get some that do it really well, or some that do it even kind of well. I don't think it's too much to ask for any given one of them to at least, scratch the surface of like some storytelling payoff.
Yeah.
Some character development payoff, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. The other protagonist of this story, sort of the co-protagonist, but obviously not the action hero at all. Kudo, played by Shusuke Tanihara. And this is another thing where like he really hadn't done that much before this movie. He did have a lead role in a movie called Fudo, The New Generation, which is not a movie I'm familiar with, but it's apparently a very, very beloved movie from the late 90s. Like, it was on, like,
so familiar.
It was like literally like on Time's like best movies of like 1997 list, I think. So like I think it is a well-known movie, and it's just a blind spot probably for me personally that I don't know it. But like that was a breakout role for him, I think, before this movie.
Gotcha.
But I think that was like the main thing that he did. Funny story, he like went on to be a podcaster in the 2000s. Like that became his gig. Yeah.
like Pioneer early on. Like.
Yeah, like 2006. Like
holy crap.
Yeah, like in the pre-serial days.
Wow. Totally. Oh my gosh, that's wild. I like this guy.
He's fine, yeah.
I think this movie's so interesting because I honestly think both of these actors could have played either one of these characters. And I think they're both pretty charismatic,
Yeah.
This guy has like really strong like transformation hero energy. Like he could be a Power Ranger, he could be a Kamen Rider. There's something about him that just like oozes that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the way he acts, like the actor. I think it's the way he acts that really like speaks to that type of hero.
Yeah, it's the hair too. I feel like a lot of Toku heroes at this time had that exact same haircut that he has right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I like his little tiny mini robots that he has at the beginning of the movie. They're the robots that can like mix things at a tiny size.
That's probably another part of why I think of Kamen Rider. There's so many little tiny robot assistants in Kamen Rider, so he fits right in.
Are any of them like electric mixers that are like the size of a
That was so funny. I mean, I was
funny.
Totally when he does his little magic trick with his little robots and his little like spoon of curry rice or whatever. I really thought it was just going to end at the magic trick. I thought this was just like our way of learning that he's like a charismatic, fun guy. Mm-hmm. And so when she was like, "Oh, the hat is a microwave," I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean it's a microwave?"
I also love that the kids see that the magic trick was like a bunch of like little tiny robots, and they're just like, "Oh, you lied. It's not real magic. Fuck you." And I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Are you kidding me?
I would have been 1,000 times more interested learning that they're tiny little robots. Like magic and illusion, stuff can be cool, but this is so much cooler.
Yeah, it's like, I want one. I want a tiny little mixer so I can make tiny little spoonfuls of curry. Yeah. Like, that's the coolest shit ever. Are you kidding me?
Please teach me, man. Yeah. I love his little robots. I love it. He's just like a charismatic, like eccentric engineer guy. Like it's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, coming on this every time to the point that it's probably annoying, but like it's always nice when they have like your two hot leads and they're not just romantically involved immediately.
Yeah, but what's I wouldn't have been mad though for this particular couple to be more not even necessarily romantic, but like to see their dynamic a little bit more, I think would be fun because they're such an unconventional pairing, at least as we've seen so far. I mean, the fact that she's like the serious, like warpath, like revenge seeking one, and he's sort of like this weird hippie engineer. Like that's such a fun dynamic. I want to see so much more of it.
It is. I do think that's the thing that, I mean, it does sort of, another thing that disappoints me a little bit about this movie is that like, I do think that they're even with the sort of kind of relatively paper thin characters, like there's still more fun that could have been had with it. You still could have had an arc.
Yeah.
I do feel like I get the sense that they like care about each other, I guess, in a way by the end. But like, I think you could have seen an arc where like she's shitty to him the whole time, but then actually like you really see them actually really growing an affection for each other. Again, doesn't even have to be romantic, though it could have been, but like truly understanding, like, you know, her seeing like, oh, I see through your silly hippie ways that you're actually like a really genuinely smart guy. And I see through your cold exterior that you're actually genuinely caring. Again, nothing new. We've seen that story a million times, but it's always fun to sort of see that play out. And I think these actors would have had good enough chemistry together. They could have pulled it off. And at the end, they don't really, which is weird because the movie ends on a moment between the two of them together. And it doesn't really land with me at the end because it's just like, they just kind of, the joke, I guess, is they're kind of recreating their meeting at the beginning of the movie again, and nothing has changed with them at all. So I don't know.
No. I think like the theme of all the stuff that I feel like you're disappointed by is that like there are good ideas here that just aren't really like delivered upon.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is really a characteristic of this movie, which is why, you know, it is fun. There's fun stuff. There's fun elements. There's fun characters. But it ends up sort of being somewhere in the middle because a lot of it doesn't have an arc, or it doesn't really go as deep as it could, or doesn't really reach the height that it, you know, has the potential to reach.
Yeah, it's just like stuff that happens acted by good people.
Hot,
good
charismatic people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like... Right,
and good actors. We've had hot, charismatic people who are like,
these
fine.
are all good. This is a good cast. I like this
agree.
cast a lot. I wish they were given a little more to do than they were really ultimately.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that this movie is as long as any movie we've watched, but it feels like these really good characters aren't in it very much. But I know that they are.
I don't really know. Yeah, like I don't understand either. No, that's
but I
so
think that's
right.
why. I think it's exactly why, is there's not an arc that you're sort of invested in. So even though Kiriko's on screen a lot and doing cool stuff, it doesn't really feel like she's in the story that much. Or Kudo, like, you know exactly who he is, but like it doesn't feel like he's on. I don't know. I didn't feel like I was
agree.
spending that much time with the characters, even though I know who they are.
Yeah, it's like they probably do have comparatively the same amount of screen time as like other characters do, but you don't really learn about them. Or when you do see them on screen, they're just like typing in a computer to fire the black hole gun or riding on Godzilla's back, which is fucking cool, but like
totally
that's all you see. You don't really see really quiet I mean, like I do like little moments. There's like little moments that you get here and there, like, you know, Kiriko when she's like, you know, interacting with the kid and stuff like that. It's sort of like you see different shades of them, but I don't know. It's just never. But it's just like bits and pieces.
Even the kid, I feel like I understand who that character could be, should be. But just one movie ago, there was a fantastic kid character who has like tons of like personality and has a role in the, like a pivotal role in the story. Like
I think
it's wild watching these two movies back to back, because this movie, they're arguably doing like cooler, more fun stuff. But the previous movie, I feel so much more invested.
Yeah.
And I feel like those characters leave such a greater impact.
Yeah, the characters in Godzilla 2000 are like really, really great for the most part. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. This kid...
And have complicated relationships with each other.
Absolutely. This kid, Jun, I don't understand why he's even in this movie, to be honest.
Doesn't need to be.
He doesn't need to be, because like they literally invent this kid to, I don't know, I guess bring the egg to Tokyo. But it's like it could have gotten there in a million different ways. Like it just sort of, and it's like, I don't know, it ends up kind of, I think, taking up time that it didn't need to, because you end up having to spend some time getting to know this kid and his mom a little bit, only for him to like disappear like a third of the way into the movie anyway. Like he's only there to transport the egg to Tokyo. But like, even if the egg had hatched in the woods, I wouldn't have batted an eye if the monster made its way to Tokyo anyway. Like, you know, it's just so it's really strange.
It feels to me like a character that was supposed to be in the movie more, based on the little bit we do know about him. I mean, he collects bugs. He's very interested in that. And our main monster is a bug, you know, like it feels like there was supposed to be more there, or at least I hope that's the case.
Right.
And it just turned out that he was superfluous, but they weren't willing to like cut him out of the story.
Yeah, because even I don't know if you watched through the credits, but like there's a post-credit stinger.
Post-credit scene. What's up? Or I guess mid credit, whatever.
Mid credits, I guess. Yeah, I mean whatever. But like, and it's all about him, like hearing Godzilla's roar or whatever. And it's like, but it's like, I don't know. There's like no oomph for it, because it's like I haven't seen this kid in like a million years, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, he didn't have a relationship with Godzilla. He just like carried an egg around for 5 minutes and immediately threw it away. Like, you know, I almost thought it was going to be the kind of thing where it's like the egg hatches with him around and he like has an affinity for the bug, and then, you know, and then kind of gets swept up in it and then like tries to help keep the bug alive, only to realize like, oh my God, I've been helping a thing that's actually a monster and it kills someone close to him or something like that.
What if he's the one that's in, not that he ends up hurt like physically or anything, but what if he's the one in the path of Kiriko's, you know, revenge tour? You know what I mean? Like, if she realizes, you know, she's hurting all these people along the way and then she hurts a child, I feel like that could have been your moment for the both of them, you know?
Yeah. And as it stands, he's just like, when everyone evacuates, he does too. And then we never see him again until the post-credit stinger. It's like, all right, bye, kid.
It's a bummer too, because I did think when he was in the movie and when I was expecting him to be in the rest of the movie, I was having fun with like him trying to move this egg and carry it around. And I love the moment where like he just has this like sopping wet box and lifts it up, and like, I don't like, he's a kid. He's dumb. He doesn't realize what's going to happen. And exactly what you would expect. It just breaks. And there's just a wet, gross, slimy egg on the ground.
Yeah, I guess there is, even though this isn't a Heisei movie, there is some slime in this movie for sure.
Yeah, there's some slime there. And when they're in their small dragonfly phase, for no reason other than probably alien again.
Oh yeah.
The dragonflies like spit at people.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Megaguirus never actually spits at Godzilla.
No, that's not a Megaguirus thing. Like, she doesn't do that. It's just her, you know, her army of dragonflies that do that. No,
this suit looks too good. We're not going to slime it up. Megaguirus isn't going to do that. We're just going to slime up people's faces.
Exactly.
In their Walkman radios.
Yeah.
This is so unimportant, but it's just funny because I was trying to look up who this kid was. Hiroyuki Suzuki is the actor's name, but the problem is that there's also the name of a very famous yo-yo player. So like I couldn't I'm pretty sure this is the only thing this kid has ever been in, but I would never be able to know because it's only the yo-yo dude that I could find information on. It's
funny. Like I felt like I wasn't like picking up people's names very well on this other than Kiriko. Mm-hmm. So I had to pull up pictures of them so I would remember who everybody was as we're talking. Almost everybody in this movie has like there's like another person with the exact same name that comes up in their Google results. Like like every single person I looked up, I was like, no, I am not looking for Dr. So-and-so in Kanto. Like I'm looking for the actor in the Godzilla movie.
Yeah. It's really funny. One of the actors in this movie was in a previous Godzilla movie. Do you know who it is? Did you catch it? I mean, actually, there's actually a couple of them, but like main actor of the cast.
I don't think so. My guess would be maybe the scientist, the woman scientist, not the older guy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know who she is. That just feels like a part they would cast like a former character in.
It is. Yeah, you got it. Professor Yoshizawa. That is Yuriko Hoshi, who was Junko in Mothra vs. Godzilla.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Still very looking pretty fucking hot in the year 2000 too.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to stop being hot. I think that's just her superpower. Kind of like our boy, you know, like some of these people are just going to be hot forever.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, the old man scientist too, I was like, you're kind of cute, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So some of these people just, I mean, they're just going to be hot forever, you know, and I envy them for that.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really the only other, I guess, major character in this movie is like the guy who turns out to be like the secret villain.
He's not from something else.
Like not from another Godzilla movie. He has acted in a lot of Japanese movies. Like he was in Empire of the Sun, for example. So like he's been in major things, but as far as I know, he's not in any other Godzilla movies.
Maybe he has one of those faces, but he just felt so familiar. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to know who this guy is. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible I've seen him in something, but wouldn't necessarily have a reason to remember that.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's fine.
I mean, like the actor's good, but the character's fine.
I mean, it is very much your standard like corporate guy who turns out to be evil because if you run any sort of corporation at all, I guess he's like Bureau of Science and Technology. So it's not like a corporation, but they treat him in the same way of like, if you're the leader of any powerful organization, you're going to turn out to be evil, which is not untrue.
I was going to say
it's real. And it's like part of the course for a Godzilla movie too.
Keep telling that story.
It's just funny because it's just sort of like when it's like revealed that it's sort of like he's been secretly working on the plastic technology right in the middle of the city and it's attracting Godzilla. It's just like, yeah, sure. I'm not surprised.
Well, I also think I saw that he's like known for playing villains. So like
Sure.
I imagine people who are familiar with his work to this point were probably like, that guy's going to be bad.
Yeah. It's not like it's not really,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's not a huge reveal. It's just sort of like, okay. Yeah, sure.
You know what? So far, this era, and I've seen two episodes, two movies in this era, but so far, both of them have been have had no problem having just like, you're bad guy. Like, you know, I know this one's sort of a reveal at the end, but it's still like, I mean, we kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's funny.
One thing that was weird, and I don't know, maybe I just like missed why this was focused on, but like when he learns that Godzilla was like still attracted to the plasma, and they learn that he still has like a lab, he's like, but we shut it down. How did he know that we had it? Did they ever address that? Or is it just supposed to be like, dude, you can't get one over on us. Like, you're just a bad guy. And so there are consequences. Like, why ask the question if you're not going to answer how Godzilla did, in fact, get drawn to that location? Did I miss it?
I don't think you missed it. I think
because I think he's asking kind of a valid question.
Yeah, I guess it is just like Godzilla is a ultimate. I think that is like the more metaphorical thing where it's like Godzilla ultimately is this force of nature, and like you can't, you know, you can't just like pull one over on
nature.
On nature, basically. Yeah. It's like if you are, you know, if you're doing research into powers that you shouldn't really be wielding, nature's gonna find a way to get back at you for that and punish you for it, and that's what Godzilla represents here. I will be curious to see if that is sort of the connective tissue between the anthology movies of this era, because that has been, I mean, Godzilla as a force of nature, I think is more, I think that's a stronger theme in these two movies than in the other eras, right? Because I think in the early Showa era, Godzilla was a very specific metaphor that isn't just like, you know, a force of nature. Like it represents something. It's a consequence of something. And in the Heisei era, it's sort of, I would argue it's still kind of a result of that, but they're like evolving the concept into something more contemporary to the time. Yeah. But Godzilla in these two movies really is just an inevitable force of nature, right? Like hurricanes will happen, tornadoes will happen, blizzards will happen, Godzilla will happen, you know? And if we're not prepared, you know, we're setting ourselves up. And in the first movie, I mean, the first movie of the era, they don't stop Godzilla. The last thing we see is Godzilla just continuing to rampage, you know? In this one, you know, I don't know who believed it, but they allegedly sent him into another dimension or something, you know? But then you have the stinger in the credits that are like, but no, you didn't. Like the inevitability is just so present in these ones. Yeah, and he's just generally less of a character, really. I mean, he's been not really much of a character in other movies, but it's like it usually, I feel like for the movies that we've watched, at least for the podcast, between the Showa and Heisei eras, it's like he's an animal specifically, or he is a character. And this movie, he's neither. He really is truly a force. Like he is just kind of like this rampaging god that you just have to deal with. And the point of these movies is that you will never be able to deal with him. Yeah. And was it versus Mothra where it was like Godzilla's just caught up in it? Like it's just his worst day ever. Like that's one where it's like he's not really much of a character, but it's because Mothra is there, you know, like Mothra is the character, right? The protagonist of that movie, really. Yeah. So it is interesting that in both of these, it's not that he's not a character in service of something else. It just really is that he's a force of nature. Yeah, it is interesting. Mm-hmm. What else do you want to talk about? I mean, I feel like we have to talk about fights, right? Oh yes, let's talk about these fights. It's interesting because there's like really only like one, I feel like, significant fight between Godzilla and Megaguirus herself, and it's a long one and a big one, but there's really only that one. And then you have Godzilla kind of fighting with the little babies. And
yeah, you've got Godzilla versus the Swarm. You've got Godzilla versus humans. But yeah, there's really only like the one big Godzilla versus Megaguirus.
Yeah, which I will say, to the movie's credit, even though you really technically only get one fight between like the titular monsters, it doesn't feel like I was like lacking or missing anything, because it was, I mean, the fight kind of contained everything I'd want to see in a fight between those two, including things that I never would have expected seeing. And it's also a very, very long and significant one that I think that fight is like a really good, like dynamic, fun fight to watch.
It is a fun fight. I'm so confused though as to why they decided to have it in daylight. We talked about this last month, right? Where I've begun to notice a pattern with these movies where the debut of the monster or key moments where they're showing off the monster, it seems to go to nighttime, or they turn the lights off, or whatever the case is. And it doesn't always stay that way, but it like helps to feature the monster. You get to do dynamic lighting, and to be totally honest, special effects tend to look better at night.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised that they didn't do that here, because when they introduce Megaguirus, you get that effect. Everything's dark. You get a good look at her. You get to do some dynamic lighting. And they should have kept it that way, because the special effects in the fight would have looked so much better against a dark sky, you know, because they have to do, when she's flying, you know, around and they're just kind of dragging her across the screen. I'm like, oh, this looks so bad against the bright sky. This looks so bad against the bright sky.
Or like the wings, when she does like the flappy wing stuff, where it's just like, oh, you just kind of digitally sped up the wings and it looks very clear to let you do.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, nighttime does wonders. You know what I mean? It does wonder. Nighttime and rain. If you ever wonder why it's nighttime and raining in so many movies with like CGI monsters, it's because it all looks better that way.
Yeah.
It all looks so much better that way.
I think between that and like the slightly lower budget, I think just some of this stuff does look a little bit more like, it feels more like a TV movie sequel to Godzilla. Not that they could have pulled this off on a TV budget in the year 2000, but it has the vibes of that. And I think part of it is the lighting. I don't think the lighting is really that good at all in the Megaguirus fight, because there's really nothing stylistic about it. It is just very flat daylight lighting on everything.
I don't understand it. She's such a cool monster. Like, light her appropriate. Where's her light?
Especially, you know, we just came off of watching Biollante. That movie does such fucking really amazing things with lighting. Like the Heisei era in general, I think, does really cool stuff with lighting often. And this, it really is just like, I don't know if they thought that they wanted to show off their special effects too much. Like, and we're sort of like, we want you to see the cool stuff that we're doing. Look what we can do with like computer generated stuff now. Right. Like, which I understand, but like there's that. I mean, there's interesting, I don't know. It's funny because this fight is really fun, and they do it's like, it's nicely choreographed, and like there's cool ideas.
Yes.
But then there's these moments of like weird frame rate stuff that they throw, where Godzilla is moving at like a different frame rate, and I don't understand why.
That was really weird. There was a moment where Megaguirus and Godzilla are like staring each other down, and I think it's meant to look like they're circling each other, but the background is just moving and they're very clearly stationary, and I was like, this is not working. This did not work. You shouldn't have kept this in. There's some weird direction choices here that I did not love.
And like, I'm of two minds of some of it, because I'm sort of like, some stuff it's sort of like, this didn't work, but I do appreciate that you as a director are trying to do something new with Godzilla, with your first Godzilla movie. Like, I get that. Even if it doesn't work, I'm like,
I appreciate it.
I'd rather see something that looks kind of silly than like just redoing a fight and doing it worse. You know what I mean? But yeah, it also just leads to it just being like, not one of the best looking fights I've ever seen. It's just silly, and I don't think it looks good, but I do think I do enjoy it and find it very fun and silly. Like, there's a point when Godzilla, like, he's just been like hit or something like that, and gets up, and like he like tries to shake it off, so he just like shakes his head really quickly, and they like speed it up digitally for some reason, like he's a cartoon character. It looks dumb, but it's so stupid that like I kind of love it, of how silly it is at the same time.
It
it's
is
so
funny. It is funny, and I can appreciate the humor of it, because this movie, you get to a point where like you kind of just have to, because there's like, especially during the fight, like you said, he just tries things, and some of them end up being funny as a result, and I will appreciate them for that. But I am realizing like I just don't want, although I might contradict this in the future when we get to a particular movie that I canonically have not seen, but in real life have seen. I don't really love when Godzilla moves fast, or when most of these monsters move fast. I love the weightiness, like I want them to feel big. And I feel like when they move really fast like that, it just undercuts like the gargantuan nature.
Yeah.
But I guess these monsters, relatively speaking, aren't anywhere near the biggest monsters we're going to see. So
yeah, no. They mean, yeah, I feel like what this fight is about the sort of like speed and reflexes of them, because Megaguirus' whole thing that she has up on Godzilla, in addition to literally flying, is like being able to like run circles around him and like get behind him and dodge and dodge him and stuff like that.
That's a great point. I do like that. I guess she does always kind of feel different. Like she and Mothra, I think, are always going to feel different, or any monster that primarily flies are probably going to be the exceptions to these rules. I like that she's fast. I like that that's like her thing and her edge on Godzilla. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's really a moment where, I guess there's a moment where I guess there's a moment. I was going to say, I don't think there's really a moment where he like figures out how to counter that, but he does.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He just knows what her movements are and like doesn't go one way when he normally would go that way, because he's figured out what her kind of strategy
I think
is.
he realizes the key is like, don't move. Like she's going to constantly move. I can't chase her, so I'm just going to wait for her to like run into me, and position myself appropriately. But I like that she's fast. I actually really like prior to their fight, where she is destroying the city. I feel like the way she destroys the city is cool and unique. The fact that she like zips by and then the destruction kind of happens on a delay. Like I love that shit. I think that's so cool. And the fact that she's got this high pitch, wing frequency thing that like causes pain and shatters glass, and like she's got cool abilities. And I would love to see I would love to see what could be done with her with more budget, better technology, or something. Maybe she would be sick animated. She would be so cool animated. Like an anime version of Megaguirus would rip so hard.
I agree.
Because I want to see her even faster. I want to see her like anime fast. She should be the one. The moment where Godzilla figures out what to do, which is to not move, right? They do this sort of like samurai sword moment where like she zips past him, and you see a little like flash, and you're like, what just happened? And then you realize, he cut off one of her arms with his spine or whatever.
It's cool as shit. It's
cool as shit, but like she's fast. I want to see her do shit like that too. Like I feel like she would be so cool animated. I want to see it. Somebody, if she's not already animated in something cool, I want to see it.
Yeah, I actually don't know if she is or not. Because there's been like animated Godzilla things, but
and I know this is getting ahead, but I did see that this isn't the only appearance of her. Sorry for your questions. That was an accident, but I didn't see what. So if there is something animated, if somebody knows of an obscure, maybe a fan animation of Megaguirus doing cool shit, I want to see it.
I do kind of like all of your points though, and I think that's sort of like the differentiation between her and Mothra and like flying or bug characters in general. Like obviously Mothra is like the sort of thing that you can draw a connection to and a thread to, because it's another flying bug, but like Mothra is like dainty and slow, like a moth or a butterfly often is. And Megaguirus is sort of embracing the sort of like fear you have of like really buzzy bugs that are loud and fast, and like the way that you freak out when a bug is like in your face, even if it's a totally harmless one. Like I love a dragonfly, but if it's fucking flying around my face with its wings beating super fast, it's gonna, my instinct is to try to like bat it away and freak out a little bit. Like it just throws you off, because there's like a thing that your eyes can't follow it and you can't detect where it's gonna go, and it just immediately feels chaotic. Like I do love that Megaguirus like kind of embraces that sort of core like primal fear in you.
Yeah, I mean, dragonflies move in such a weird way compared to most other things. And the fact that she's huge and does that, or does a version of that, is terrifying,
Yeah.
Terrifying. Especially, I mean, they don't really play on this, but like, they show crowds running when they evacuate, but they don't really have, well, I guess they have one. They don't really have scenes of like crowds running from her, but they do have that one scene where I don't remember who the character is, but somebody's running alongside a couple other guys when she flies over and rubble like falls behind him.
I think it's Kudo.
Is it Kudo?
Because he ends up with a broken arm because of that, I think.
Oh,
right?
that makes sense. And but like rubble falls behind him. I mean, they're, most of these monsters, they're huge, but they're pretty slow.
Yeah.
And so like typically you see crowds running and you just see them sort of like ambling in the background. But to have a monster like Megaguirus who will fly past you and you will be in her wake, like that's so cool.
Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah.
She also has the like spine thing. That's like a big piece of this that we didn't like. Draining Godzilla once again is like a thing in this movie. I mean, Megaguirus is basically hatched because of, or with the aid of, like the dragonflies sucking Godzilla's energy out of him and delivering it to her, and then she goes and uses her weird little like spine on the end of her tail to prevent him from atomic breathing her. Like she's able to like neutralize him. She's really powerful.
It's really cool. Actually, I want to talk. I know we're going a little backwards with this, but I want to talk about the dragonflies too. I mean, really, both of the like the swarm forms. I do think that they do some really fun, creepy things. Even with some like sometimes spotty CGI stuff, they do a really nice job. Like there's the moment before when they're still in the Mega Nulon, I think is what it is, phase. I'm already forgetting the names between the two. When they're still in the first phase where they can't fly yet, when the city is flooded and you see the boats just kind of going through and they pass that building and they don't even notice it at first. There's just a building and you see in the background this one building that is just covered in fucking giant bugs, dude, all over it. And it's like that, like it like hit like a core fear in me of like what you don't want to see when you just see a wall in your room like covered in roaches or any kind of bug, just a swarm of it on your fucking wall, just not even doing anything, just sitting there. And there is something so inherently terrifying about that.
What it reminded me of, do you get giant mayflies where you are? Like they'll come in a swarm and then they'll just cover buildings. They don't do anything. They're not harmful, but they're just big enough.
Unsettling.
And there's just so many of them that like it just gives you sort of like the heebie-jeebies, like they're just, it's just too many bugs in one spot doing nothing. Like it's just creepy and they're huge. These ones are huge.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's really unsettling. And then of course once they do get wings, like they start fucking flying around.
Dude, the moment where they're like shooting at them and you're sort of like, oh god, like they can't shoot them fast enough before they all like come out of their little like husks or whatever. It's just
yeah. And it's like it's a creative way to get Godzilla out of the story a little bit. Like that's always the struggle, right? Like until the big final face off, how do you ever have a break in the movie where it's not just Godzilla rampaging or something like that?
Yeah.
And the way that they do it is by just having a swarm of dragonflies cover Godzilla and literally like suck the life out of him, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and it is freaky because like, God, what the fuck is Godzilla going to do? He can't fight it. He even tries to fire his atomic breath. Dude. And it's like, cool, you took out like 4 of them out of 1 million. Great. Congrats, dude.
Yeah. I felt that. The giant mayflies, you try to hit them with a hose and like, yeah, sure, that one spot on the wall is there, but then you've also pissed them all off and now they're all flying around you and like there's nothing you can do. Like Godzilla the actor, like Godzilla's like walking onto set, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, he
like
is.
with his cup of coffee,
Yeah, I've seen the behind the scenes pictures. Yeah, that's how it works.
But the guy acting does such a good job in those scenes too, between like the confusion and the attempts to do things and the reaction to those things not working. Like it all is so good. You can like imagine like an animal like your cat or your dog, like sort of being swarmed by bugs and like not knowing really what to do, but trying, It's a really good moment. of what was probably a really difficult thing to act because they're not really there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
But some of them were practical. There were some like stuck to the suit, which was really cool.
Yes, I was just going to say that. I think that there's a good fusion of like CGI and practical stuff. Because like these are monsters you could not fully pull off practically in the way that they want to, but when they have opportunities to do it practically, they do. And seeing them just fucking like stuck to Godzilla, the Godzilla suit, it's so freaky.
Yep. Slowly, more and more of them. Yeah, and when you finally realize like, oh, they're on him, it's like, ugh, yeah. I think that's really effective. I think they do a great job mixing the practical and the digital effect there.
Yeah. I mean, other just like monster stuff. I do think that like, okay, what do you think about how expressive they kind of often are in this movie? Like I already talked about like Godzilla, like shaking stuff off, but like Megaguirus herself, like there's a moment where she like looks like she's like waving at Godzilla, like to taunt him. There's a like when Godzilla does do the body slam, which we need to talk about. We haven't talked about the body slam, but like she has like a surprised look on her face when Godzilla is like about to be hit with a black hole beam. Like he is sort of like, whoa, like there's little moments of that in this movie, like of anthropomorphism that kind of pop up. That feel a little distinct, I think.
I have mixed feelings on it, probably because it feels mixed in this movie. Like sometimes they feel very grounded like animals and like, you know, a sort of wild monster. But then sometimes they have those moments of sort of emotion or reaction or expression. Mm-hmm. So I don't inherently dislike it. I think I probably just prefer it to be one or the other.
That's fair.
I think, because I can think of some other examples where, like, you know, it just, I think that's probably my current preference. Yeah, and I think that's a tonal thing. I think this movie kind of, like you said, has a little bit of whiplash sometimes, and I think it's things like that kind of contribute to it. So I don't dislike Godzilla reacting to the realization that he's about to get blasted in the face with a black hole, but he wasn't doing that to everything that happened to him. Yeah. So,
or it's like, you know, Megaguirus is like clearly meant to be like pretty self-aware and can strategize and like make facial expressions sometimes. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, this is also the same movie where you have just like mindless bugs just eating people on the street a couple of times in really gruesome ways. And it is sort of weird to have both of those things happening in the same movie. It's like you either kind of, it makes it hard to kind of get over that when it's like, I feel like maybe it would make more sense if you either went hard on the horror or went hard on the sort of fun comedic stuff.
I think this is, you know, you said that this was one where it was released at a certain time, so they wanted a certain tone. I think this is absolutely a movie that would have benefited from just releasing at a different time and leaning into the horror, you know, like let it be that. Not that it needs to be a full-on horror movie, but like let it be creepy, let it be gross, let it be, you know, a little bit scary.
Yeah, I agree. Because that one moment of those people getting eaten in the alley is pretty fucking freaky. Like nothing else in the movie is like that. It's dark. And it's gross.
Some of the practical effects are like horror effects. Like when they find the body of one of the dragonflies, that's gross. It's gross. It looks gross. Whatever they pull off of its body looks gross. You know? So it would have been cool to really embrace that. And at some points they do, and then some points they don't. So it just has an inconsistent feeling to it.
Yeah, just a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on the body slam? Are you pro or con body slam?
I don't. It's funny, but I don't think I like it.
It's really funny. I'm pro because it's so fucking dumb. Like, and at that point in the movie, I think if it happened at a different point, I'd feel differently. But at that point in the movie, I think it was like so clear that it's like this movie is just gonna be what it is.
But see, point. I disagree. I don't think the movie leans enough into. I think King Kong versus Godzilla, there is a point at which you realize, like, oh, this fight is going to be wacky. Like, it's going to feel silly and wacky. They're going to do silly and wacky things to each other. But, like, Megaguirus and Godzilla do, like, some serious shit to each other. Like, cutting off limbs and, like, stabbing each other in the chest with a spike. True. You know what I mean? Like, there's some, like, real shit going on. So, I think, for me, if it were... I guess it's just a consistency thing again, right? Like if it were more consistently wacky, I think I wouldn't have minded it as much. But again, I mean, it goes very much against how I think I want my kaiju to move. I mean, the fact that it's, like I said, it's funny, but I don't think I really want my Godzilla to be doing that.
Like, where did he even jump from? Did he just jump up
the ground?
and fall?
He just jumped from the ground.
Any sense? Like, it makes no sense.
So absurd. And they do the like from the ground over, like he's like so jumping funny. Over the camera. It's really wild. Like it's
so funny.
That had to have been like a on the spot decision. There's like no way that someone was like, and then Godzilla jumps 50,000 feet into the air, you know?
It's so
I would love to know actually like how much of these fights are not improv, but like decided in the moment, like with the monsters there. I know some of it has to be planned for, but I also imagine for certain movies it's probably to some degree sort of like, okay, now like like in professional wrestling, like a lot of that is planned, but there's also planned moments of grappling, you know, where it's like you two are actual trained wrestlers, so grapple, you know, and they can do whatever they want in that moment as long as they're not doing like weird flips and shit. I wonder how much in any given movie has the sort of like metaphorical grappling section.
I think it's definitely a mix of that through movies. And I think the other factor to it too is that like, I think typically I'm sure, you know, it changes with the times, but I feel like the majority of the time it's often pretty split between like the special effects director doing the monster fights and like the director of the movie directing the actors and things too, you know?
That makes sense.
Like I know, you know, with Honda and Tsuburaya, like for example, I think that was it wasn't like neither had any interaction with each other, but like Honda would be shooting all the people scenes while Tsuburaya is doing a bunch of monster stuff. And obviously Honda would have input on the monster stuff, but Tsuburaya is basically in charge of it. I think that's sort of the case in these movies too, you know, up through this period of like, you know, you have the special effects people know what you can pull off in special effects. Obviously the director is going to probably have some input, and like the screenwriter wrote ideas for what they should do. But like at the end of the day, the special effects director is going to know what you can pull off and is going to have ideas for new inventions and new ways to pull things off. And so a lot of ideas are going to be generated from that, which again, maybe in the case of this movie, maybe contributed a little bit to like sort of the tonal whiplash. If Tezuka like really was interested in like the aliens of it all and the horror stuff, and then it's sort of like, well, no, we have to have Godzilla do a body slam. It's just like, okay, I'm the new director here. I guess we have to, you know, like given the way he talked about, you know, Kiriko climbing on Godzilla's back, I wouldn't be surprised if he felt the same way about the body slam. It's just like, if you want to do it, I guess we have to, and I'll try to help you make it look as good as possible. But we'll see.
I think there are ways that you could pull off that kind of action where I would appreciate it. So I'm not entirely closed off to it, but I think the kind of movie matters. I think like what the movie is and what the overall tone matters for it.
I would agree with that.
I love the way Godzilla looks when it's swimming in this movie. I think it's really cool. I know that you said it was Tezuka who didn't like the sort of Kiriko action moment riding on Godzilla, right?
Yeah.
Was that but I do think the way he looks swimming and the idea of that is badass as hell.
Yeah. I mean, like the actual moment when she's on his back also does look, I think, as cool as it can possibly look. Like that's a pretty fucking big deal. Like I can tell you, this is the first time in any Godzilla movie somebody's just fucking climbed on Godzilla. So it's pretty momentous to see that.
Yeah, I mean the close-up practical stuff looks so cool. It's only when you have to do the like weird composite-y green screen stuff that it's like, you know?
And that's just, you know, that I just chalk it up to just being the year 2000. Yep. Like I don't think that looks bad for the time period necessarily.
I would argue that some of this is like pretty bad because like it's not even just that like the compositing isn't great because compositing like the technology isn't matching it. It's like things like Megaguirus' size is really unclear for a while because the way that they composite shots, I couldn't tell. Sometimes I was like, oh, she's huge. And then sometimes I was like, oh, actually, no, she's smaller than Godzilla. And that's only because I think some of their compositing and whatnot is not done very well.
No, all the bugs in this movie, I think the size feels, I don't know that it's necessarily actually inconsistent, but it feels inconsistent in that it's hard to keep track of what size they're supposed to be depending on what scene you're watching. And like, I think that's very true.
And that translates to the moment when she's riding Godzilla, because I know it's a really hard thing to do. And you see it with like jets that they're inserting into scenes. You know, you can see that like the jets are kind of moving in weird ways. That I kind of understand. But the size thing translates to her moment riding on Godzilla, because she's not moving. I mean, the distance of her is not consistent with the distance of Godzilla. Like she, at one point she's a giant woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I think the actual seams, you know, I can understand, but some of the scale stuff they should have been able to figure out.
Yeah, the scale stuff, which is just because scale in Godzilla movies is very important, and some people have absolutely nailed it. So when you get it wrong, it is kind of a bummer to see.
Yeah.
Like, look at the history here. You got a lot to live up to, man.
Yeah. I mean, 2000s. They should be able to pull off some of this stuff.
That's fair. I mean, yeah. This is, you know, I have to think about this. This is like post the American Godzilla, but also like post the Matrix and post.
Right. The Matrix has happened. Godzilla has happened.
Movies. Yeah.
Pixar's 3 movies in.
Multiple Jurassic Park movies have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not really an excuse.
Yeah.
Is there? Yeah. Speaking of funny technology, oh my God, the fucking Nintendo Mii's that Kudo makes for his computer.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That is so funny to me. I'm
so corny.
Obsessed. I love it. I love it so much. We also at one point do see another ad for the colorful Apple iMac computers. Love it. Keep happening.
Oh, beautiful. Yes,
Never want it to stop. But yeah, his totally nonsensical like little me who like actively, you know, interacts with the information on the screen. It's funny because like obviously what we're supposed to believe is that she, like, this little avatar is actually doing things, right? Like she is an artificial intelligence assisting him in this process. But like when you apply it to the real world, it's like, no, this guy just really spent that much time like modeling the visual interface of his programming. Like which is so funny to me. Like, no, the computer can't just do this process in the background. She has to turn into a superhero and blast the walls of my computer because otherwise it would be too boring. You know,
that's a fucking like jetpack and is literally shooting code.
And then so like funny. Runs into a wall when the computer can't like go any further. Like, it's so funny.
I love that. That's the kind of stuff that I you know, technology stuff is always like kind of funny to watch just because it changes so fast. But like there's a particular that, and like it's like, you know, in the first Jurassic Park too, it's the same deal. And it's like Lexi is such a good hacker, and then the system she's in is just like it literally is like CGI buildings that you're like going to one space, like it's like a video game. Like it's so fucking funny. I love like because it's, I mean, and to be fair, as a filmmaker, it is hard to represent that on screen in a dynamic looking way.
Right.
And most people didn't really know how computers worked as well as maybe people do now, a little bit more generally now, you know.
Look, what he's doing on the computer screen is far more interesting to me to watch than just like the endless scrolling of video game titles in the background of the last movie. You know what I mean?
True.
Or like the glitched out screen on her Sony Vaio laptop. Like, okay, cool.
It's so silly. It's so silly. I love it so much.
So good. So good.
Yeah. I also was getting some vibes too, and this is also, you know, kind of gets to like, I think maybe why I was like a little bit frustrated with where the movie ended with just like the black hole gun was good all
we do need to talk more about that.
Yeah, we have to talk about the black hole gun because that's the thing is like the whole plot of this movie is kicked off. God, we're going so backwards with this. The plot of the movie is kicked off with like when they test the black hole gun, which like their brilliant idea of getting rid of Godzilla is to send him to another fucking dimension with a mini black hole. Wild collection of words. It creates a wormhole to prehistoric times, which brings like the Megaguirus to present day, and that's how you get Megaguirus. Cool. So obviously, like, you'd think that the theme of this movie is sort of like the consequences of your extreme technology. You're going to these extreme measures to get rid of a force of nature that you can't get rid of, and that's ultimately wreaking havoc on the world. But then at the end of the day, it's just sort of like, not black hole good. Black hole gun was good. That's what you needed. That's how you defeat the monsters. All done. And the thing that I was thinking of as I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, I'm kind of getting Godzilla Raids Again vibes a little bit, where they keep going after, where like there's a certain point where Godzilla is out of Japan, and it seems like he might not necessarily ever come back, and they like pursue him specifically. You know, like
in this movie they are determined not to let him ever come back. They like that G extermination subtitle is so literal. They want this bitch out of here. Yeah. Never to return. It's honestly kind of wild because I totally hijacked the point you were making, okay. But I do agree. But like it is wild. This is the first movie I feel like we've seen where it's like, we're not just trying to destroy him to stop him. We're trying to destroy him forever. Like we have reached our breaking point. Bitch, you're out of here. Yeah. Like it's wild.
Yeah. And so like that coupled with like the revenge plot, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think that's also why, you know, with Kiriko, I was sort of like expecting all of this to lead up to just sort of like, no, you can't just pursue Godzilla out of like hatred and revenge. Like that's only going to cause problems for you. For example, Megaguirus, which is why I'm just sort of shocked at the end of the movie. It's just like they got the black hole gun online and they use it to defeat Godzilla. The day is saved. And then you do get a stinger where Godzilla is back, but it's like, I don't feel like that the implication is like the black hole gun was like bad and they shouldn't have been pursuing it. I think like you said, it's just sort of like an action movie and they're just like using their cool technology to defeat a bad guy. But it does feel like it sort of runs counter to what the movie sets up with the consequences of creating technology. So that's sort of like beyond what you should be doing. That's wildly dangerous. That is causing problems for the people that you're ostensibly protecting. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really go in that direction. And it's like black hole gun good. And I'm like, a gun that makes miniature black holes from space is not a good thing to have in the world.
Well, right, objectively. If you think about it, the oxygen destroyer was an incredibly polarizing solution to the problem, at least for some of our main characters, right? Like there were main characters who were really upset about it being used, with the background of everybody being like, yeah, kill that fucker, right? Like that's compelling and it's crushing. And then when we get to the return of Godzilla in at the end of the Showa era into the Heisei era, the end of that movie is very much meant to make you feel like this was like a necessary dark moment for humanity. Like you have the shot of all the men standing looking small and facing the horrible thing they're doing to this creature. Like other movies have really dealt with it, even though they still do succeed. This is a weird one where they succeed and no one's really upset about it. Everybody's celebrating. And it's not like this is a movie whose tone up to this point is like, exhausted and beleaguered Japan. It's not like they give you the impression that the entirety of this country has been ravaged and is just at their has reached their breaking point and it's the last straw and like we've tried everything and the very last thing we can do is just destroy this monster. Like it's not even that. Like it really is like surface level action, cool, hooray, we won. Like it's really this era is so strange so far. The immediately preceding movie is like, we don't win. Like that's the immediately preceding movie. We don't win and Godzilla continues to rampage and we have to face the consequences of Godzilla rampaging, and maybe Godzilla's in all of us. Maybe we're all monsters, right? Like that's a wild way for that movie to end. And then this one, like it's an equally not confusing, but like it's an equally kind of unconventional takeaway, but in a totally different direction.
It's like, I guess the lesson was the black hole gun, fucking rad, great, love it. And then the stinger, if he comes back, then the implication is you should have built a better black hole gun, make it bigger next time. Like what am I supposed to take away from that? It's so weird.
It's funny because it's funny because like the possible obstacles of the black hole gun are not that it could go wrong and cause more destruction or anything like that. It's just that it could not work. Like that's all it is.
That's
like
so
it
true.
might malfunction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is weird because the whole conflict of the movie starts because it does have a negative consequence by opening a wormhole and letting a prehistoric monster come through. But other than that,
then they just
act
have to tweak
happening. It. Yeah, right. They're just like, well, we fix it, and like we fix it. That won't happen.
We'll just
now.
aim better. Is really what the solution was like, oh shoot, we missed.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay.
Which is weird because they're dealing with a black hole. Like, and the effect of the black hole gun is really cool. And I feel like the gravity of the effect of the black hole really communicates the gravity of the situation, where it's like, it's literally pulling in clouds, you know, like into its gravity. Like that's a massive scale. If you think about like the distance and clouds, like it's huge. But yeah, there's really it's so funny because this movie knows what a black hole is. It's not pretending it doesn't know what a black hole is.
Right.
But for some reason you can contain a black hole in a satellite and it will not suck up that satellite.
Well, they have plasma energy technology, Doug. They figured it out.
Well, sure. And I'm not trying to be like
I know.
about it, but like, it's just funny to me that like, the effect will give you the sense that this is like a big deal, but then like everything else, it's like, oh no, we got this. Like you said, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Like it's really that casual for them.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird. Also, this is placing this recording in a very specific point in time, and it won't mean anything to anyone who doesn't listen to Walloping Web Snappers. But this is 2 weird black hole stories in like a week for us. Like we've recorded about 2 weird black hole stories that are just sort of like, we know what black holes are, but what if they were this instead?
That's so true. Yeah, if you go to the Walloping Web Snappers feed, I think the most recent episode is literally called Invasion of the Black Hole. Yeah. Yeah.
So funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
I mean, black holes, it's a fun concept, and I guess it inspires creators. Like, I get it. It's just funny.
Why is it a black hole gun? Why do they have to shoot the black hole at Godzilla? And if they can contain a black hole, why is it not in a device that you shoot at Godzilla, then activate? That seems like it makes way more sense to me.
I think for one, it is very much a rule of cool thing because you get to see a beam coming from space.
Very true.
But also I do think that they justify it a little bit because they even comment on like how smart it is that it is a satellite from space, because it's something that Godzilla can't like break it or something. You know what I mean? Like if it was something that you shoot at Godzilla at him and then activate it, he could break that device before it activates. If it's a beam from space,
yeah.
I mean, theoretically,
he
could move out of the way.
He did. They missed him the first time.
Yeah.
Actually, he didn't even move. They just missed.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's cool in like a very James Bond sense, right? Like I'm going to shoot a laser from space, right? Like it is cool. It's just like it's so funny. Like the more you think about it, the funnier it gets.
Yeah. Yeah.
To shoot a black hole at the Earth, not to get Godzilla in space where you then shoot a black hole at him, but shooting a black hole directly at the planet. What could go wrong?
Yeah, no problems here.
I love it. I love it. Absurd. I love it. Yeah, I do love it. No one get me wrong. I love it.
Yeah. It's just
funny to
weird.
me.
It's just so weird. It's funny. This movie is so weird, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone who really likes it maybe it feels like we're like tearing it apart. The truth is that it's a fucking fun ass movie to watch. I had no problems watching the movie, and it is kind of breezy. Like it goes by really quickly.
I was gonna say, like you said, you didn't rewatch it until this, but I probably will rewatch this movie because it's like breezy and silly.
Yeah, it's just like also just kind of dumb at certain points. I just really like I don't quite understand what they're trying to do with this, but it's fun.
I honestly wish it were dumber. Like I wish that
I kind of do too.
And I don't even mean like wacky in the King Kong versus Godzilla sense, but like with the character of Kiriko, I wish that she were like dumber. You know what I mean? Like and I mean that with affection. Like I think it would be so much fun like if everybody was just like really, just kind of the dumbest version of themselves in this movie. I think it would be so good.
This feels like it could be like in like the Moonfall kind of universe.
Yes.
Just like tweaked a little bit, like just a fun, stupid movie.
Yeah.
I mean, or you know what? It could be like in the direction of like the current American MonsterVerse movies a little bit. It's just like fucking dumb, cool shit happening. Like, because it's kind of halfway there anyway, you know?
I can't canonically say this, but that movie is extremely dumb and knows it. Like,
yeah, and it's funny shit. It's funny shit, you know? So it's like, you know, and I mean, not to say that I want my Godzilla movies to be stupid if they don't have to be, but like this, if this movie's already like, again, I'm halfway there. And I do think that Tezuka had good ideas that he was like pitching initially, but it's like, if you're not going to go in the horror direction, which I felt like they kind of were just didn't feel comfortable doing, then like you go in the fucking silly fun direction. You go full hog on like the 70s Showa era monster wrestling and like ridiculous Toho sci-fi stuff, you know? And I think, you know, and I think the elements where they just sort of embrace that are fun if you kind of have it in a vacuum from the horror elements, which are, again, in a vacuum, also fun. So I don't know, weird mishmash of a movie. I don't really get it, but it's fun. Had fun watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. One quick thing, just because you know we talk about the English version sometimes.
Oh, sure.
Not much of a story, but it is sort of interesting that this is one of only a couple of cases where this happened in the 2000s. But for whatever reason, like there is a full English dub of it. I think it's just the Hong Kong international dub. So your mileage may vary on how good you think it is, but there was like a 90-minute like edited version of it that was like cut down specifically to air on Sci-Fi Channel.
Interesting.
Yeah, why they decided to cut it down, and they do this with the movie after it too, I think. But yeah, so there is like, you might, I guess if you're looking, you maybe would find a cut down version of it. I don't know how widely available that was, because they probably made it for TV and then released the uncut version on disc. It's just sort of interesting because it's like, I didn't get a chance to see that version. And I don't know that I'm sort of curious to see like, well, how does that movie play? Like, if you cut it out, cause it's already like, I don't know, I guess
it moves pretty fast. I would be surprised. I'd be curious to see what they cut out.
Yeah. Yeah.
My concern would be that the easiest things to cut out are moments of the fight and moments of like the bugs attacking, but who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious, but it exists if you want to seek it out and watch it. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got. Any other sort of closing thoughts about this one?
No, I said it at the top. Fun, fine.
Yeah, fun, fine. Yep. That sounds about right. Yeah, very mid-tier. But cool stuff in it. Got a Godzilla body slam.
Yeah. If it's going to be mid-tier, I'd rather have fun doing it. Not everything that ends up in a mid-tier is fun. Sometimes it's there because it's boring.
Yeah, this movie ain't boring. I can tell you that much. A few predictions. You've already said this. You know that Megaguirus appears again in some capacity.
Yes, I did see that Megaguirus is in more than one movie.
Cool. Do you think, this is really hard to answer, but Millennium Era Anthology, you've now seen two movies where Godzilla is like basically a bad guy, but like ends up being kind of in a heroic position by accident, kind of.
Yeah. Next
movie, do you think full on hero, full on villain, somewhere in the middle? Do you have any prediction at all?
Well, what's weird is that, I mean, I guess this applied to 2000 Millennium as well. But what's weird about this movie is like that stinger in the credits fully tells us that Godzilla is back, but these movies don't necessarily connect to one another. So like in 2000 Millennium, it's still rampaging, but that doesn't affect this movie at all. You know what I mean? So, I think if we're just going down the path of these two movies and the very few things they have in common, I do think Godzilla will continue to be a force of nature to be dealt with. And I think when he is solely a force of nature like he is in these two movies, he's more on the side of antagonist or villain than he is hero. And if he is a hero, it's because there is a worse force of nature, like the alien, like the prehistoric dragonfly. Yeah. Like, I think that dynamic is going to be maintained.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
There are no heroes except for Kiriko.
I love it. Also, every time you say stinger, I just think of Megaguirus' stinger, and when Godzilla catches it in his mouth, and it's pretty fucking cool.
But that moment, not to like, get out of the prediction section, but the sort of like prestige of that moment where it's like, oh, she got him in the face. Yeah. And then it like the camera angle changes and it's like, nuh-uh.
It is honestly really fucking cool. I love that moment. It's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But yes, so we're done with this for now. What's
Okay.
coming up next? I'm so excited for this, Doug. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of this. We've got Hot Ghidorah Summer.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you all the way through September because technically summer doesn't end until the end of September. So we've got a long summer with many Ghidorah movies. It just happened to work out perfectly. However, the first movie we're doing is not going to be a Ghidorah movie, but it is useful to have. So June 13th, we are going to be doing the solo Rodan movie from 1956. I have not actually seen that movie before, so I'm very excited to watch it. We're going to start seeing Rodan in these movies. It just so happens that he pops up in Ghidorah movies, so makes sense to go ahead and get introduced to Rodan here. Then on June 27th, we're going to have Ghidorah, the three-headed monster from 1964, officially meeting Ghidorah for the first time.
I'm excited.
July 13th, another Showa era movie that follows that, Invasion of the Astro Monster.
I've seen this title and it's such a weird title for what I know currently.
Yeah. And it is a Godzilla movie. It's not like another Toho movie. This is a Godzilla movie.
I know. I just don't know what it means.
Yeah. Then August 13th, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from 1991, back to the Heisei era. So the Heisei version of Ghidorah. Then September 13th, here's a swing, Frankenstein versus Baragon from 1965.
Okay.
Yeah, another non-Godzilla movie, because it does interestingly, bizarrely get referenced to in the movie that we're also covering later in September, on September 27th, from the Millennium era. So the next Millennium movie that comes after this one, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack from 2001. Colloquially known as GMK, because that title is so fucking bonkers.
Amazing title. Incredible.
Yes. I'm really excited for Hot Ghidorah Summer. It's going to be great.
Yeah. We go from the girls to the Ghidorahs. I love it.
The girls to the Ghidorahs. Yeah. So next movie we have up is Rodan. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie. I really don't know anything about it other than who Rodan is. But Doug, what do you know about Rodan?
I think Rodan is a dragon with wings but no arms. I can't remember what that dragon type is called, but could be mixing Rodan up with another monster.
Sure.
But I think it's a dragon.
Yeah. I think the dragon type you're referring to is a wyvern, I believe, is what that is when they don't have, when they just have wings for arms.
Like their wings are their arms. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of spoiled this. I was going to ask you, will other kaiju appear? But I specifically said that the Meganulon shows up. So technically other kaiju appear in the movie, but do you think anyone else will? I don't fucking know.
I doubt it. But I mean, this is the first Rodan movie, right?
Yeah, this is Rodan's first appearance. This is where
that
he was created.
Doesn't mean other monsters can't appear, but I'm guessing that they don't.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it seems sort of unlikely, other than your sort of side monsters like the Megalodon. But I don't think it's going to be a Rodan versus anything.
No.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it for the first time. Luckily, that one's not hard to find. I think it is like on Max, like streaming. So
nice.
You can find that one really easily. Yeah, I'm excited to finally dive into it and then get into Hot Ghidorah Summer. So
cool.
Yeah.
Pumped.
Me too. Thank you all for listening. If you'd like to find other queer creators who talk about media like this, check out the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective at glitterjaw.com. You can follow it on Twitter, Facebook, and Blue Sky at Glitterjaw, and on Instagram at GlitterjawPods. But if people want to find us individually, Doug, where's the best place to look for you and everything you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me all over the place at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY. You can listen to me on a weekly show with Derek on Glitterjaw called Walloping Web Snappers, where we deep dive into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made, and another show called Novel Gaming, where my co-host Katie and I catch up on all the books and video games and sometimes other media we've been consuming lately. What about you, Derek?
Sure. You can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. I have a couple other podcasts I do other than what Doug mentioned. I have Gimmicks, which I do with my co-host David, where we look at the high concept and experimental structure breaking gimmicky episodes of TV. And I also have Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, which is a Simpsons gaming podcast where my co-host Tommy and I look at all of the Simpsons tie-in video video games. You can also find my streaming show that I do with Sci-Fi Explosion on their Twitch, which is Tokusatsu Thursday. So if you like Godzilla and want to see Tokusatsu shows, commercials, and clips and other Japanese media, we stream those at least once a month. I don't know when the next one's going to be, but follow me on social media to check out when we're going to be streaming that. It's going to be some Thursday coming up this month.
Yeah, if you're here, you should be there. Like, if you're listening to this, you should be watching that.
Yes. That's twitch.tv/sci-fi explosion, but follow me on social media to find out when that happens. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/wallopingwebsnappers. That's, of course, the name of our Spider-Man show. But if you like Skrionk and want to support us, that Patreon supports everything that Doug and I do together. So check that out for some bonus content. We plan to do some bonus Godzilla-related episodes as well. Check out our Discord, link in the show notes. That is also our Walloping Web Snappers Discord, but we do have a channel for Skrionk if you want to talk Godzilla stuff. And we do have a dedicated email at skrionkpodcast@gmail.com if you'd like to hit us up with any feedback, corrections, or anything that you want to offer up. And if it's a good email, we'll read it on the podcast. Woo. Please rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms. It really helps us out. And next month, like I said, we are getting another taste of the larger Toho universe with 1956's Rodan.
Hell yeah.
See you then.
Bye.